That boy Jeff Beauregard Sessions is at it again. That's right. Jeff Sessions is rescinding Obama-era directives for feds to back off marijuana enforcement in states with legal pots. So in other words, Obama put in the era to tell law enforcement officers these states are legal, back up off these people. They have a right to use medical marijuana, or in some cases California, recreational marijuana, California, Colorado, blah, blah, blah. All right, Attorney Jeff Sessions is rescinding an Obama-era directive that discouraged law enforcement officers of federal marijuana laws in states that had legalized the substance, according to the people familiar with the decision. The move potentially paves the way for the federal government to crack down on burgeoning pot industries, though the precise impact remains to be seen. Marijuana already was illegal under U.S. law, even as a federal prosecutor had been advised against bringing cases involving it in the states that approved this use and sale. The people who described Sessions' decision, first reported by Associated Press, spoke on the conditions of anonymity. A formal announcement was expected later Thursday. 8 states and the District of Columbia have laws allowing for personal pot consumption, according to NORML, a group which advocate legalize and track pot-related legislation. Sessions Justice Department has long taken a hard line stance against marijuana, even effectively blocking the Drug Enforcement Administration from taking action on more than 24 requests to grow marijuana to use in research. Sessions has said in the past he did not believe marijuana should be legalized. Even suggested at an appearance last year that the medical marijuana had been hyped maybe too much. He and top Justice Department officials had long been reviewing the 2013 guidance from them. Deputy Attorney James Cole directing federal prosecutor to effectively back off marijuana enforcement in states that had legalized the substance and had a system in place to regulate it. In practice, that meant U.S. attorneys in jurisdictions that had legalized marijuana at the state level were often reluctant to bring marijuana cases through. Cole's memo stressed Congress had determined it to be an illegal drug that provides significant revenues to gangs. They might now be more willing to consider such prosecution, though they will still potentially have to contend with jurors sympathetic to defendants whose conduct would not be illegal under state law. Now, pro-marijuana advocates have long been critical of Sessions' views on the topic, though his latest directive might also upset those in his own party. Asked by Colorado TV station in 2016 about using federal authorities to shut down sales and recreational marijuana, President Trump said, "I wouldn't do that, no." But he was non-committal on whether he would block his attorney general from doing so. Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado said on Twitter that Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado said on Twitter, "The move directly contradicts what Attorney General Sessions told me prior to his confirmation." Let me stop there. In other words, during Sessions' confirmation, trying to get the job for Attorney General, he made certain statements and he's gone back on it. He's a lying sack of crap. But I'll talk about him later. With no prior notice to Congress, the Justice Department has trampled on the will of the voters in Colorado and other states. He wrote, "I am prepared to take all the steps necessary, including holding DOJ nominees until the Attorney General live up to the commitment he made to me prior to his confirmation." Sessions' move could have significant economic impact, injecting even more uncertainties to investors already apprehensive about the Justice Department might do when it comes to legalizing pot. If the Trump administration goes through with the crackdown on states that have legalized marijuana, they will be taking billions of dollars away from regulated state-sanctioned businesses and putting that money back into the hands of drug cartels, says Normal Political Director Justin Strickle. Some pro-pot advocates, too, sought to cast the move as a continuation of Sessions' war on drugs, Early in his tenure, he reversed another Obama-era directive and instructed prosecutors to pursue the most serious, readily probable charges, even if that might trigger stiff mandatory minimum penalties for drug crime. So the bottom line is Jeff Beauregard Sessions of Alabama is a racist slob, a pig, and he need to be dealt with. He made promises. Before he became Attorney General. He backed down on his promises, which means he's just a man that's untrustworthy. What he wants to do is he want to continue to push the Republican narrative that we need to not legalize drugs, whether it's medical or recreational. Let's continue to keep it in the hands of crooks and cartels and criminals to push through all over the United States so we can put people in jail, mainly blacks and Hispanics and whoever. His goal is to fill up the prison system. Fill it up to the point where it spills over to the private prison system so we can have modern day slavery, what they call the new Jim Crow. Jeff Sessions wants to do that. That's always been something that he's for. He's probably invested in the private prison industry. He probably have a lot of investments in that industry, probably on the low. And he's staying to make money. So how do Trump or anybody in this cabinet decides to make money on the side? Well, let's let somebody else run it, maybe our kids or maybe a friend of ours, and let's push legislation that's going to put people in position where it's going to make us money if they're in jail, locked up, or whatever. So all of this is just a ploy. Jeff Sessions want to roll back. A lot of these states are getting huge revenues that goes to education and things. Now, me personally, I'm not a pot smoker. I did enough pot in my day. I don't need to do no more. All right? I'm not a pot dude. Okay? I smoked my share. Believe me, I smoked a lot of pot. I smoked many blunts, seeded, budded, you name it. Indo, you name it, I smoked it all. But I've changed. I get high off life. I don't need to get high off some weed. And there is some medical benefits. My son, God rest his soul, rest in peace, Devontae. He was on seizure medication. Had I known about the medical oil, the cannabis oil, I would have been gladly to use that on my son. I'd rather have something natural coming from the ground to heal my son than some chemicals to keep him sedated and asleep most of the day. So I am not a big endorser of medical marijuana, but certain things I believe should not be on the streets. Alcohol was on the street. It was gang related. It was mafia related. And the moment we made it legal, we took it, we regulated, put it in the stores. Now you literally have to go in the stores, show an ID to buy the alcohol. Now it's regulated. You cannot drink and drive. It's regulated. You can't even go to your job. So so even though I think medical marijuana and recreational smoking of marijuana or whatever you use, eating cookies, whatever you use, whatever use you want to use for marijuana. I mean, to me, personally, I won't do it. I won't suggest somebody else do it. But hey, this is America, free of will, and if the people want it, the people should get it. Should it be regulated? Yes. It's like I'm not a big drinker. I don't drink a whole lot. I drink wine every now and then. Some Chardonnay, some Merlot, some Sangria, So, yeah, I drink a little wine, but I'm not a hard liquor dude. I don't be drinking all that, boom. So the bottom line is there's certain things that we had to make it legal to keep the crime down. I could go on and that people went to jail for selling alcohol. And believe me, they did hard labor. I mean, hard labor. The same thing is happening with marijuana and these Schedule 1 drugs, Schedule C drugs, whatever you want to say. Come on, man. Schedule 1 drug. People shouldn't be going to jail for having weed in their pocket. There's black men and women going to jail because their friend got weed in their pocket and they don't even smoke it. Ain't got nothing to do with that person. Didn't even know they had it. So all of this is just a setup because they know, even though white people Shout out to my white brothers and sisters. Even though white people smoke just as much weed as any black, Hispanic, Asian, you name it, they don't get the sentences that minorities get. And if you black and you get caught with weed, oh, you going to jail. Oh, you going to jail. If you get caught with just a bag with no weed in it, you going to jail. If you hanging out with a boy who got weed in his pocket and you didn't know it, you are going to jail. That's the bottom line to it. And what they're going to do is they want to fill up the jails so they can get money from all kind of sources to fund those jails. And then if it spill over, they can put brothers in private prisons to make more money. And those private prisons will begin to trot out the prisoners to do pretty much low-cost labor, slave labor for slave wages for major corporations. It is a plot. It is a scheme. And we got to push back against this. Jeff Sessions shouldn't have never been approved, but guess who approved Jeff Sessions? Some Republicans, a lot of Republicans, and some Democrats. Guys, that's another reason why you need to get Trump out of office, man. I mean, screw this Russia thing. I don't believe that crap, but there's things that you can do to get this guy out of office. Jeff Sessions need to go. And anyway, we got to make some moves, okay? This guy's trying to fill the prisons back up and trying to put people back in jail. Minding their own business, doing something they want to do with their money. I never heard anybody on weed going around robbing people because they want weed. I heard people robbing people for crack and all that. Anyway, I'm done. I haven't never seen nobody get sick, go crazy, overdose. I haven't heard anything on record concerning that. But to put it up there with heroin, to put it up there with crack, ecstasy, you know, come on, man. It's a plot to put more blacks in jail. And the blacks, we need to stand up against that, along with our Hispanic brothers and our Asian brothers and our Native American brothers, and even some of our white brothers. Hey, thank you for watching the webcast. By all means, make sure you like, subscribe, and share these videos. Go to YouTube right now and hit the notification button and hit the subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, by all means, there's a Patreon link. I will put a PayPal link. And the money toward that goes toward equipment, things like that. And last but not least, make sure you look at two sections down below. One is called Get to Know LS, the membership. The other one is Get to Know LS, the opportunity. What do you mean LS? LS is a program that called Legal Shield that I am an independent representative of. It has not, that company has nothing to do with my views. I fell in love with this program about a decade ago. I've been doing this for over a decade, offering the services to people to benefit and connecting people to the services, putting them in a position where equal justice under the law is not just on the Supreme Court building. It's actually becoming a reality in their lives by having this memberships. And with this organization, not only will you be able to know about your rights in a certain area, but you'll know about how to exert and execute your right with the power of attorney, top-rated attorney, backing you no matter where you go without worrying about all this money coming out your pocket and things like that. So get to know LS, the member, financially. You can help contribute this program by becoming a member. Some of the proceeds of being a member of LS goes toward Freedom on Fire and the Rob Report. I'm Robert Bob TV Brown. I thank you for being a huge support to what we do here. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.